The first step to starting your e-commerce business is to decide what to sell. Now, you might already have some ideas in mind, but if you do, I want you to go through this chapter with an open mind and be open to the possibility that there's a lot of items out there that have a lot of really good selling potential for a dropshipping business. And if you have no idea what to sell, then that is absolutely perfect and you're going to get a lot of fantastic ideas from this chapter. So we're going to go through a lot of different potential items, why they might sell, and what kind of value they can bring to your end customer. So there's a common misconception that to start any kind of business, you need a new product or something that the world has never seen before, and that's how you're going to attract new customers and new audience members. That's actually not true at all, and the whole premise of dropshipping is that we take an existing product and market it to an audience that has not seen much of this product before, but there's a definite need for it in the community that they're a part of. So that's a train of thought that I want you to think about as we go through this chapter about what kind of products can serve what kind of audiences and why this product might benefit them. So now let's go on to the next slide. So now let's talk a little bit about product models. So in dropshipping, there's actually 3 different product models that you can follow when you're building your store. So the first is print on demand, and this is where you create your own designs and then have a supplier print it onto an item and ship that product out for you. Second is single product stores, where you only dropship one product from your store. And then we also have multi-product stores, where you carry a whole bunch of different items all under one niche. So it's hard to say exactly which one of these models is like the best one, because that's all going to depend on what type of business you want to create, how much creative input you want to have, and what your ultimate goal is as a business. So I'm going to take you through all 3 of these models. I've worked with all of them myself. I started with a print-on-demand company, and then I started a single product store, which led into multi-product stores, and my 2 current stores are both multi-product stores. So I'll take you through all of them with their pros and cons, and you can make the best choice that's right for your business. All right, so the first product model is print on demand. And what print on demand is basically you are the creator of your own designs. So this is a good model if you want to have a lot of creative input into the products that you're going to be selling. So basically you create graphic designs, send them to your supplier. When somebody places an order, the supplier will then print that design onto a blank product and send it to your customer for you. So some examples that you see of this are like clothing lines, custom mugs. If you've seen print your pet companies where you submit a picture of your pet and get it printed on like blanket or socks, that's also print on demand. So let me show you guys an example of a good print on demand store. This store is called Gear Bunch, and they sell workout clothes. So they have everything from pullovers, leggings, tops. And this is a print-on-demand store. So these are just blank products that are offered by the supplier. And when somebody places an order, it's going to get printed onto this blank hoodie and sent to their customer. So that's how print-on-demand works. And some pros of this model is that you definitely get a lot more creative control over the products you're selling. And that's because you're creating the designs yourself. So if the value of your brand is in the design, then this is definitely the right product model for you. Another pro of this model is that you often end up with shorter shipping times than any other model. And that's because a lot of these suppliers for print on demand are based in Europe or North America. And that's because a lot of Asian suppliers don't want to deal with these small batch orders where they have to print one t-shirt at a time and that's the order. A lot of Asian suppliers are more about wholesale, so print on demand is a lot more common with North American and European suppliers. So that's going to cut down on your shipping times. Some cons of this model is because your suppliers are going to be in Europe and North America, and because there's going to be a lot more labor and time put into each item, you're going to get higher product costs and lower margins. So that's something to think about. And then another con is it can be really time consuming to create designs. So if you're not a designer or if that's not something you're interested in, that's another thing to think about with this model. So I would say choose this option if you're interested in having your own designs come to life, whether it be in t-shirts, mugs, pillows, or anything of the sort. This would be the right product model for you. The next product model is a single product store. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It's when a store only has one single product in it. And this is a good model if you have a really unique item that has a lot of technical features that you can fill an entire website with. So some pros of this model is that you can really create a really high value brand. So if you have this unique item that hasn't really been introduced to the market in the big four countries, then you have the opportunity to be the market leader with this type of product and brand it so it's like this really unique brand that nobody else has come up with yet. And another pro is it's a lot easier analysis of information. Because you only have one product, you don't have to analyze how your ads are affecting all sorts of different aspects of your store. You only have to focus on the copywriting, the ads, the material for one type of product. So you can really streamline your information and you can really see the cause and effect of everything that you do. Now, some cons of this model is when you rely on a single product, there is a chance that you take that this product might become irrelevant, obsolete, or go off trend. So you have to think about that if this is a product that's going to be lasting and relevant in the long term. And another con is it can be difficult to increase your average order value. If you don't have other items in your store that people can fill their carts with, people might only be purchasing one item at a time. So a really good example of a single product store is the anti-gravity case that we looked at earlier. And I would suggest this type of product model to you if you're interested in using a single product and really taking it to the extreme. So you're going to be having to create a lot of your own custom videos, custom graphic designs, custom photos, etc., because with a single product store, people are expecting this type of detailed information and also original content. Because the value of your brand is in the details of this product. It's not in your wide product offering. So that's one consideration that you should make if you're deciding on doing this type of store. And if that's something you're interested in, then single product store is the right one for you. And third, we have multi-product stores. And multi-product stores are when you have a variety of products all under one niche. And you can think of your niche as your audience. So your audience might be like cooking enthusiasts, people who love tech, travelers, athletes, gardeners, even dudes. So let me show you an example right now. This is a really great example of a multi-product store. And I think it's really clever because they've taken a whole variety of items that could just be generic items, but they found ones that could be geared towards men, basically. So Dude Gadgets is the world's leading expert for procuring the coolest gadgets for guys all in one place. So they have everything from watches to car equipment, even like power floss jets, smartwatches, etc. And they've basically geared their brands towards men. So these products could be sold in any store basically, but they've basically gone out and product source items that they think men would be interested in and put them into one store and created a single brand. So this is a really great example of a multi-product store. So some pros of this model is you have the ability to test a bunch of products and see which ones do well and which ones don't. Then you can cancel the ones that don't do well and find other products that are similar to ones that do well. And another pro is there's higher long-term potential because you have the ability to pivot your store. So if there's ongoing trends or if you're noticing that certain products are becoming obsolete, you can then pivot your store and shift your items and even your audience base a little bit to make sure you're keeping up with trends and what's relevant in the market. Some cons of this model is product sourcing and copywriting takes a lot of time. So looking for these products, coming up of names with them, coming up with descriptions and branding each product takes a lot of time and energy. So that's something to think about. And then another aspect is a lot of people with general stores will just come onto the store and browse. Unless you have a couple of really unique products to hook them in, people generally come to the store, browse, and then leave. So your conversion rate might be lower, but at least you get the data from this audience and you can then run a retargeting campaign and get them to come back. So this type of store is ultimately really flexible and I really recommend it for beginners and people who are starting out. It's very low risk and it has a lot of ability to pivot. So this is the type of store that I'm going to be creating for this case. All right, now listen hard for this part. So I'm going to share with you the strategy that's made me hundreds of thousands of dollars by repeating the strategy with multiple stores that I've built. So my personal Shopify selling strategy is that you can't just be selling a product. You need to find an audience and you need to engage that audience. So how do you find an audience? You find a problem that's bothering them. So when you're looking for products to sell, I want you to think about what problem can this item solve and who can it solve the problem for? Now, not all of the products in your store, in a multi-product store, have to be problem-solving items, but these are usually ones that capture the most attention. So when you're able to solve a problem for somebody, the amount that you can charge for this item could be priceless. People will do anything to make themselves either make their lives easier, make themselves more comfortable, make life more convenient, and beyond. There's so many varieties of problems that you could solve, and this is something that you should really be thinking about when you're choosing your core set of items. Now, the second thing that you should do is you should build a social community that's served by the product. So when you choose your niche and you say, okay, I'm going to choose a smart scale that calculates body fat percentage, I'm going to be targeting the fitness niche. So not only do you want to sell this product, but you really want to build a strong following around this niche. So that means you're going to be creating a fitness following of people not only just interested in the product, but they're interested in the problem that it solves and everything concerning the lifestyle. The third thing I want to talk about is to test more ads, not more products. There's a lot of people that talk about the concept of a winning product and that once you find this product, your sales are going to skyrocket. Now, through my experience, I found this to be not true. While some products are definitely better than others in sales potential, there's no such thing as a single winning product or a product that's just going to sell as soon as you put it on the market. What really will sell your product is an ad. So, for example, Nike and McDonald's sell kind of generic items in our day-to-day lives. They sell shoes, hamburgers. There's nothing truly unique about the product, but it's the advertisements that they put out that draw us in. So I want you guys to think about that. There's definitely no need to test hundreds of products looking for the best one. You've probably already found a product that will sell. You're just going to have to think about how to market it. And the fourth pillar I want to talk about is growing your community through collaboration and consistency. So the way to grow a brand is to grow the community that surrounds it. And how do you grow that community? You have to keep them engaged with content that they're going to care about, and you have to do this regularly. So I'm going to talk a lot more about this pillar when we move on to the growth section of this course. But that's something I want you guys to keep in mind, is that the way to grow a brand is to grow the community. So there you have it. That's my 4-step secret strategy for building any kind of business, not only dropshipping stores on Shopify. So when you guys get stuck, I want you guys to come back and look at this page and see if you're following the 4 pillars. And I bet that if you are stuck, you'll notice that one of these pillars isn't quite matching up to what you're doing in your own store. When you're going through the motions of creating a business, it's easy to forget where the business is heading and what the overall strategy is. So definitely save this page and come back to it when you get stuck. So as I mentioned earlier, not all the items in your store have to be problem-solving items. However, having a problem-solving item at the center of your store and as a featured item captures attention, which then gathers more audience members. And once you have that audience, it's a lot easier to build a brand. So this is where a lot of people make a mistake, is that they build a brand first and then they try to solve problems later. How I like to work is to have a problem-solving item right off the bat, capture that initial attention of people who are in this niche and have the same relevant problem, and then once they come to your store, they can shop the non-problem solving items. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. So here's an example of a store that I think has done a fantastic job of taking a problem-solving item, building a community around it, and then offering more products that the members of this niche might be interested in. So this company is called Dog Potty, And the problem that they solved is that thousands of dogs get hit at night by cars. Now, their feature product is this item right here. So it's actually a glow-in-the-dark LED dog collar. So when your dog wears it at night and you go for a walk, or if your dog goes to the dog park and runs freely, they can be seen by other people. And not only do they sell this product, they also sell other relevant items that people who have a dog or buy supplies for dogs might be interested in. So I'm going to take you onto their store and show you how this works in practice. All right, so you can see on the product page, they have their glow-in-the-dark safety collar. So it looks really legit. They have all these verification symbols, and they illustrate the problem right away. Are you keeping your dog safe at night? Every year, thousands of dogs get hit because they're not visible at night to cars. Now, I actually saw this as an ad on Facebook in a video ad, and this was a super effective video ad where they showed the problem right away, and they showed this item which could solve the problem. So this was a really good product to create a video ad for. They have the product here, all the variants for it, and then they also have dogs wearing it. So that's kind of the community aspect too. You can show people using your product and how it plays out once it's purchased. So right off the bat, the copy is really good, gives a lot of description, which is something that you definitely want for your feature products. You definitely want to give all the information that you can, because once somebody lands on this page, you want them to make that purchase right away. They have customer reviews, which is fantastic. If I landed on this page from an ad, I would have no doubt that I would feel comfortable buying from this site. Now let's check out how they've expanded their product line. So if we go to dog stuff, you can see that they have their first feature product right here, and they have a few other feature products that are problem-solving items. So here's a breathable dog harness. So dogs often get hot during the summer, and a lot of harnesses aren't breathable. So that's an excellent product to solve that issue. This is a dog water bottle. So a lot of times dogs have nowhere to drink for clean water. So that's a solution to that problem. And you can see that they have a variety of problem-solving items on here. Now, what I love about this example is that this store could have stopped right here. They could have just sold these LED light collars, harnesses, and these other problem-solving items, and it could have been a standalone store on their own. However, they took that problem, captured the audience's attention, and then added more products that would be relevant for the customer. So if somebody saw an ad and came to the store, we know that they are probably dog lovers, or they have a dog, and dogs are a big part of their life. So this company actually has a huge apparel section featuring dog t-shirts. So you can see here, my dog is cuter than yours. All sorts of t-shirts that aren't problem-solving items at all, definitely. But will definitely appeal to the audience members that they've attracted. They also have jewelry. So you can see that they have necklaces, rings, earrings, tons of other items that these are all definitely dropship items that they filled their store with that will raise their average order value and maybe interest customers that maybe they decide they didn't want the collar, but they actually really like this ring. And you have the exact perfect audience in front of you to sell these items. Another thing that I want to mention here is that the problem-solving items in your store might not be your favorite items or the ones that you think are the most interesting, but they are the ones that are going to draw the most attention from your target audience. So what I mean by this is, for example, the owners of Dog Potty might actually be mostly interested in jewelry and selling accessories relating to dogs. So they might think that this pair of earrings is the coolest product in their store. Everybody should have one, and everybody should have a dog t-shirt too. While these are really cool items, they're not going to capture the attention of the audience as much as a problem-solving item. When you show the audience a problem that they're faced with in their everyday lives, and you show them a solution that can solve this problem, they're instantly captivated. Once they come to your store, you can then present them with various ideas of other things that they can buy to supplement their lifestyle in this niche. So that's a really great thing that they did, is to have the problem-solving item as the feature and then have other complementary items that can fill the store. Now I want to show you guys one more example of how this concept can be applied to any niche. So this second example is a store called Gear Spear, and their feature product is a solar powered power bank. So this is a really cool item actually, and it could definitely be a standalone single product store. However, they're actually making a really great strategic move by making this a feature product and building a larger brand around it. So this product is solving the problem of people who go on long wilderness expeditions and they might not have somewhere to charge their electronics for days at a time. So a normal power bank that gives you like 2 or 3 charges on your phone definitely won't cut it for these enthusiasts. So that's the problem that they solve. That's their feature product. I'm going to show you their store to show you what other products they have. So looking at the product page of this item, it looks pretty good. They have really high quality photos, which is excellent, and it outlines all the technical details of this product. And a lot of these pictures you can likely pull from the supplier or other AliExpress suppliers that sell this item. So they have all these photos. The only thing that I would change about this product page is I'd probably add a description of the item right here and the problem that it solves. However, I think they can get away with this one a little bit more because the problem that it solves is pretty clear. It was a little bit more ambiguous with the dog collar because it could be seen as a decoration item, but this is definitely a problem-solving item and a technical product. So people who are shopping probably understand what the problem is that's being solved. So they can get away with that a little bit. Now when we go to their page, so their tagline is Adventure More, and they sell everything from backpacks, camping gear, first aid, flashlights, headlamps. All these items you'll be able to drop ship. So they've created a whole comprehensive store for adventuring and wilderness. And another cool thing that I want to mention, and is a benefit of having a multi-product store, is that you can usually increase your average order value. So you can see from their last, from this page, that this item sells for $24.99. I can see here that they have free shipping on all orders over $29. So if I were a customer, I'd probably go and buy any other item that I can think of just to get free shipping. So as a side note, that's a really clever way to get more sales. So as you can see, it doesn't matter what niche you're in, what type of audience you're trying to target, people are always going to be drawn to the idea that they can purchase an item that's going to make their lives better. I mean, who doesn't want to improve their lives? So problem-solving items are always the way to go to attract customer attention. And once you have their attention, you can sell them on dozens, hundreds, thousands more items that you carry in your store. Let's talk a little bit about niches. A niche is a product category, so it's what you're in the business of selling. So on the right here, I have a list of niches that I'd recommend for dropshipping, and I've seen a lot of success come out of stores from all of these niches. And the reason that is because they have such large audiences that there's a piece of the pie in there for everybody. And that's where the concept of niching down comes in. So what niching down is where you take a niche and you go even more specific into it until you find your target customer. So for example, if I wanted to sell apparel, that's a really broad product category. There's a lot of things in there. What I want to think about is how can I get more specific into that category until I have a really specific audience. So maybe instead of just selling apparel, I'm going to sell yoga pants for mothers who are expecting. Or maybe instead of just regular apparel, I'm going to sell nurses scrubs. So doing that kind of narrows down your categories, and by doing so, you also understand who you're selling to. Now, there's a few other things that I want to mention in these categories that you may or may not want to consider. So Babies and children is a really, really great category, but you want to make sure you're selling to the right person. So children aren't usually the ones making purchase decisions, so you want to keep that in mind if you choose this category that you're selling to the parents, actually. Beauty and fitness are two industries that are quite influencer focused. A lot of times people rely on word of mouth to know who to go to in these two industries. So think about that. You might need to be working with influencers or brands on social media to get these kind of brands launched. But once you get that network and that connection, these are really, really huge industries to make money from. Outdoors and hiking. This niche, they really like dense content. So the more information that you can give and the more that you can involve the community with things like blog posts, suggestions on where to camp, where to hike, videos on trails, the more you'll be able to build that community. And travel, again, this is a niche where you want to niche down. Maybe you want to target backpackers, maybe you want to target travel families. So you want to think about that because there are a lot of travel items that are available in any department store. So you really want to focus your audience so you can target the right people and get them to come to your store. So now you're probably like, okay, I've got some ideas of what I want to sell. I know what categories I might want to go into. Where do I get these items to sell? So the short answer is AliExpress. You might have heard of AliExpress already. If you haven't, it's basically a large Chinese marketplace. It's like an online mega mall that sells absolutely everything, all those niches that I just talked about, plus so many more. And all the suppliers are basically in China. So the reason that AliExpress can sell so cheaply is because first, the manufacturers are in China, and there's a cheap shipping method over to all these big four countries called e-packet. So it only costs like $1 something to ship a large package from China to the United States. Now, whether that changes in the future, not 100% sure, but in the meantime, it's really conducive to drop shipping, and that's one of the great reasons AliExpress is a fantastic platform to drop ship from. So the reason that a lot of Western buyers don't use AliExpress is one, because they haven't heard of it, and two, if they have heard of it, it's just a really overwhelming platform and a lot of people just choose not to deal with it. So here we have the front page of AliExpress. You can already see there's just like a lot of stimulation. There's like all sorts of things going on. So if you are a Western shopper and this isn't a site that you're familiar with, and you somehow got here, you might even just be like, whoa, this is a lot all at once. Like, I'll just go to Amazon. So a lot of the prices also seem like too good to be true. So that throws off a lot of Western buyers. They think that like, could that really be the true price? And it is, but it just doesn't seem real for a Western buyer. So yeah, the front page of AliExpress, everything's in English, but let's say we go to an item, for example. So I have a pretty standard product page pulled up in front of me, just a random item that I pulled up. This is a shoe disinfectant device. And yeah, you can see right off the bat that it shows that it can ship from China or Russia. And a thing about buyers from big four countries is that they don't love being reminded that their product is coming from China. Even though pretty much everybody knows China is like the world's biggest manufacturer of goods, people are still hesitant to buy items that they know that they're being reminded of are coming from China. So this is the principle of why people are shopping at Walmart, even though Walmart is sourcing everything from Asia. People like the communication that they get with that store that's understanding their language and their way of communication and their preferred shopping methods. So that's why AliExpress hasn't really taken off in the Western world, because their priority isn't really building brands and like really connecting with the customer. Their business is providing a huge selection and a huge directory of items to shop from. So you can even see that here. They're really focused on keywords. So they're focused on people shopping for keywords and having a large variety of items to choose from. Whereas your job as a dropshipper is you're going to take these items and be able to communicate with people who have more disposable income and can pay a higher price for them because of the brand that you built. So all in all, AliExpress, it's a little bit crazy and difficult to navigate for the everyday consumer. And it's not always the most user-friendly, but it does have the most amount of items that you can shop for on any online store, period. So this combination of factors makes it the perfect place to dropship from because you can find any item that you've ever imagined, but the general public is usually not able to access that. So this is the right time to start an AliExpress account. So click join, and once you've created your own account, move on to the next step. Now wait 1 second. Before you get too far into the void of AliExpress, I want to talk to you guys about product criterias that you should be considering with every item that you're looking at. So I recommend that you first start with looking for your problem-solving products. So do this before you look for the filler products in your store, because this is really going to set the flow of your store and what type of items you're going to be selling. And it also helps you to understand your target market a lot better because you're always considering whose problem you're solving and why they're going to be coming to your store. So this kind of understanding of your audience is a really good thing to do early on in the process. The second thing you want to look at is the price of the item. So you want an item that you can price up the AliExpress price by at least 3 times when you consider the cost of the item plus e-package shipping. So for example, if an item was selling on AliExpress for $10 and e-package shipping was $2 to the US, then you would want to price the item for at least $36 USD. If an item that you're looking at doesn't seem like it could retail for that high, then you may need to reconsider that item. The third factor that you should consider is that your feature items should be somewhat difficult to find in a department store. So every item is going to be found in some brick or mortar store out there, but the point of this pillar is that you don't want an item that's so generic that you can't build a brand around it. So for example, a dish rack is a problem-solving item, but it's very common and it can be found at any Walmart in the country. So it's going to be really hard to build an audience that's going to be captured by this item. Now, what you can consider is to sell an item that's 1 degree different from a common item. So instead of selling coffee tumblers, you can maybe sell self-stirring coffee tumblers, which is an item that I've seen sell really well on AliExpress. And another thing that you can do is you can brand the item to a more specific audience. So instead of selling cutting boards, you could find interestingly shaped cutting boards and then market them as ergonomic cutting boards, which would narrow your niche from everybody that has a kitchen down to cooks and professional home chefs. So those are some things to think about when you're choosing your items and if they're applicable to a specific audience. Number 4. Weight is an important factor to consider because you'll be shipping using the e-packet shipping method. So that's the cheap shipping method that I talked about earlier that only costs a few dollars to ship from Asia to the United States. So e-packet only applies to packages that are under 2 kilograms. So you want to make sure that the item that you're selling is under that weight, or else you're going to be paying a lot in shipping fees. One of the reasons that dropshipping works is because of this e-packet agreement. So it's important that you find an item that can fit in the specifications for this shipping method. And 5th, you want to consider the product's potential for expansion. So since I'm going to be building a multi-product store, I always think about this factor right off the bat. I think about what other items would this audience like to buy, and is it possible to also hold these items in my store? So potential for expansion is really important because if you can list a lot of items in your store that's all relevant to the same audience, then you have a lot more chances to raise your average order value and increase the amount of sales that come in. So that's a factor that you should definitely consider when you're choosing your feature items. And since we're going to be drop shipping from AliExpress, we do want to verify that the supplier that you're using and the item is rated well on the platform itself. So on AliExpress, there's going to be people that have already bought this product and have reviewed it as a consumer. So we want to make sure that this is an item that's been used and been bought before we drop ship it to other customers. So there's a few things that you want to look at. There's the AliExpress supplier rating, and you want that to be at least 95%. It sounds high, but most suppliers are in the 90 range. So you also want to look at the AliExpress item rating, and you want that to be over 4.5 stars. And you also want to look at the amount of orders on AliExpress. And ideally, I like to go with a supplier that sold over 300 of the units of the item. A lot of times you'll be able to find multiple suppliers with the same item. So if you find an item that you're really interested in, but it has less than 300 orders, I recommend that you look around to see if there's another supplier that carries it. And in most situations, there will be. All right, now let me show you guys how you can find all that information on an AliExpress product page. So if you're on the product page, you can see that this is the US price for the item. And then when you look at the shipping methods, you want to make sure that the ePacket method is selected. If it's not on the ePacket method, choose ePacket and apply it. So ePacket in this situation is $2.29, so that makes the product about $4.40. So you want to aim for a retail price of about $13. So, okay, I think this product could probably sell for $13 or more, so that's a good thing. And then looking at the product ratings, it's rated 4.8 stars, over 3,800 reviews, and it has over 9,900 orders. So checks all those boxes. And then the supplier rating is up here. And you can see they have 97% positive feedback, which is excellent. You do want to look at this area on the right here, detailed seller ratings out of 5. So it says 4.7, 4.7, 4.6 below average. The average for this is about 4.75. I wouldn't worry about this too much because the product does have so many good ratings that it should be okay. If this product wasn't rated very well or if it was a new supplier, then I would take that into consideration. So we know that the weight is under 2 kilograms because ePacket is offered. If the weight was over 2 kilograms, then you wouldn't see that option there at all. So yeah, so this item would be an excellent item to drop ship. It checks all the boxes of all the criteria that we're looking for. When you find an item that you're interested in selling, it's a good idea to keep track of it so you can look back at all the items that you're considering at the end of your research process. So what I recommend that you do is favorite the item and also add it to this Excel sheet. So this sheet basically covers all of the criteria that we just talked about, including the niche and the problem being solved, the cost and the ideal selling price, whether or not the item is less than 2 kilograms and is eligible for ePacket shipping, the AliExpress supplier scores, and also other related items that you can use to fill the shop so you can get some ideas out there. And if it ticks all the boxes, then you can say, yes, it is a viable item. So you can keep a list of viable items that you're considering. And I promise you, the more research that you do, the more creative ideas that you come up with. And you might even realize that some of the items that you've researched work really well together, and they might work really well in a store together. Let's talk about product platforms. So just because you'll ultimately be buying your products from AliExpress, it doesn't mean that AliExpress is the best platform to be doing your product research on. Actually, there's 2 really awesome platforms that are really helpful in the world of e-commerce that give you a lot more information and also ways to organize your inventory than AliExpress can. So the first one is SaleWho. SaleWho is a directory of pre-vetted items and pre-vetted suppliers that are hand-chosen by SaleWho experts, and they're guaranteed to be legitimate and good suppliers. So this is a really fantastic element because then you know you're not going to be buying scam products or from suppliers that don't have any credibility. Another reason that SaleWho is such a fantastic platform to use for product research is because it gives valuable statistics on how a product is selling. So it gives information such as the competition level of a product, how many other people are selling it, whether there's high, medium, or low levels of competition, and also the average retail price for a product. I'm going to get a little bit more into this on the next slide when I go in depth on SaleWho, but that's one of my favorite reasons about using SaleWho as a platform to do product research on. The second platform is called Oberlo. Oberlo is a Shopify app that now actually comes with your Shopify plan, and it's an app that helps you browse AliExpress products in a much more organized way. It takes away all the flashing lights and distractions from the AliExpress homepage, and you can browse the products in a very linear and clean format. It's also completely integrated with Shopify, so you can import products directly from AliExpress using Oberlo onto your Shopify store. And we will be using Oberlo for that purpose in this case. So it's going to be our import tool to bring products from AliExpress directly onto your Shopify store. It also gives a few pretty cool statistics about the products, which you usually don't see very clearly on AliExpress. So I'll get to those too on the coming slides. And if you do use AliExpress as a research tool, it definitely gives you a lot of brainstorming ideas because of the volume of products, but it can definitely be super overwhelming. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into AliExpress products research as well in the coming slides about how you can narrow down your searches and how you can look for some recommendations on AliExpress. Product research is one of the most important elements of the entire dropshipping process. So you might be super anxious to start building out your store, but trust me, the more product research you do, the more ideas will come flowing to you, and you'll understand exactly what you want to sell and exactly who you want to sell to. The more items you see, the more ideas you get about what are possible items to sell, what won't work, what niches are really popular, and what kind of items have a high profit margin. So these kind of things just come through experience and just going on these platforms and browsing. So definitely take your time here and look through products and look at all the possibilities of things that you can sell. So for me personally, I use all three of these platforms for product research, and then I import through Oberlo. So that's the process that I'm going to be using for this case. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use all three of these platforms to your best advantage and use all the features that they offer in the next upcoming slides. Okay, so first we have SaleWho, and SaleWho is a really awesome platform for two really huge reasons. The first is that all of the suppliers and items that are listed on SaleWho are actually already pre-vetted and pre-screened by SaleWho experts. So you know you're going to be dealing with legit vendors and vendors that actually deliver quality items. So that not only gives you that sense of reliability, it saves you a lot of time that you'd spend searching for good vendors. And the second unique feature about SaleWho is the SaleWho Market Research Lab. So on this lab, you have a whole directory of already pre-vetted products, and then you can sort them by some market data points that are taken right from Amazon. So this is really unique because you can actually see how a product is selling in the market right now, and you're able to see how many products sell based on how many listings there are, the competition level of each product, and what a product is currently selling for. So let's go into the SaleWho site. I've already logged in, so this is the front page, and right away we have the two things that make SaleWho special, which is they have the best suppliers and the research labs. So now let's head on over to the research lab to find some potential products that we can maybe sell. So I'm going to go to Labs, Discover Products, and it's going to pull up the directory of all the products that SaleWho holds. So this is actually a research step in itself because you're getting rid of all the bad possible suppliers that you'd see on AliExpress. So you've already narrowed down your search a lot just by doing this step. So here at the top bar, we have a variety of filters that you can choose from to find a product to sell. So the first filter that we have is product type. So that's the niche that we're going after. And when you guys choose a product category, I want you guys to remember what we talked about in the previous slides. You're not just choosing a product category, you're also trying to curate an audience. So you want to pick something that you can target an audience that you'd be familiar with and you know that you could communicate to. So think about that when you're choosing a product category to sell from. The second filter is the sell rate. So how this works is SaleWho takes market data from Amazon from the previous month and shows you how a product is selling on the market. So the sell rate is the percentage of this item that's sold from the listings that were listed. So a 30% sell rate means that 30% of the listings of this item resulted in a sale. The next filter is average price. So the average price shows the average retail selling price for this item across all the sellers on Amazon right now. So depending on what type of audience you're trying to target, you can set your average price from anywhere from $0 to $200. It's a good way to look at if there's an item that you can potentially find for really cheap from a supplier and you see that it has a really high average selling price, you can kind of determine items that might have a really high profit margin. The next filter is competition. So this is a pretty cool filter that not a lot of platforms have, and what it does is it compares the amount of sellers in the market compared to the amount of demand in the market and how many people are searching for this item. So ideally, you would be looking for a product that has medium or low demand, because high demand would mean that there's a lot of sellers in this market selling this item and not a lot of people are trying to buy it. So a combination of all these filters, the most ideal item to sell would be one that has a high sell rate, so above 30%, an average price that corresponds to the type of audience that you're trying to target, and medium or low levels of competition. So let's go ahead and try to do a product search and see if we can find any interesting products. All right, so looking at the niches, I'm going to go with home and kitchen. Home and kitchen is kind of a niche that is always relevant and people are always buying things for their homes. And there's always a lot of problem solving and interesting items in this niche as well. So it's a good place to start if you're looking for some ideas. Let's set the sell rate to 30%. And let's set the average price to, let's start with 25 to 50. And we'll check off the high so we only have medium and low competition. And this is what we're left with. So let's take a browse. All of these items can also be filtered with this side tab. So you can filter by the latest items, the sell rate, the lowest price, highest price, or alphabetical. So I'm just gonna scroll through with the latest items just to get some ideas flowing. So here I came across a pretty interesting product. It's called the Baby Shusher, Soothing Sleep Miracle for Babies. So of course, parents have a hard time with babies that can't sleep at night. So this is definitely a problem-solving item. And as a reminder, this is taken from Amazon data, so it's not a direct source for you to import this item into your store. What it is, though, is it gives you the information that this is a problem that's being solved by a product and people are responding well to it. So let's take a look at the listing on Amazon. Okay, so yeah, it uses a real human voice to lull your baby to sleep with a calming shush. So definitely a problem-solving item, freeing up your precious time. So what you do with this information is now you know that there is a demand for this type of item. Now, if we go back to SaleWho, what I would do now is I would go to the product and I would save it. And I would just have it in my saved items to look back at as a product idea. And then later on a platform that I'm going to import items from, I'll then look for a similar item and see if it can be found at a low price with a supplier. So strategy-wise, it's a really good idea to always look for items that don't have a lot of sales relative to how many clicks there are to the wish list. Because a lot of these customers are interested in the product and they just need one more reason to purchase it. And once you target them with ads, they'll be a customer. So on the dropship automation tool, you are able to search by product category as well. And so here you can search by most of the product categories that are available in the lab. So I am going to search by home and garden. And You can set the price from anywhere from 0 to 800. So this would be the purchase price of the item, so the wholesale price. So in contrast to the labs, which we just looked at, this is the price that you're purchasing the item as from the supplier, not the price that it's currently selling for. So I'm going to set it to $50. Number of sales, this one I actually typically leave as is on SaleWho, just because we already know that these suppliers that we're dealing with are legitimate, so we don't really have to filter for like scam products, and that's usually what the number of sales filters for. If it's a scam product, then less people will order it because the supplier will have a bad rating. So this one I leave as is, and then we move on to the shipping. So you can choose from shipping from China or the United States. And this one, it might be appealing to say, okay, of course I'm going to ship from the United States, but United States shipping to anywhere in the world is very limited. And this is not just on SaleWho, this is on AliExpress as well. If you try to search by US to US, your options are going to be super, super limited as for your drop shipping suppliers. So pick China and you'll have the option of ePacket, and it's a great system. And shipping type, we're going to filter by ePacket. So click it right there. And here we have all the products that meet our search criteria. So now we have 451 products to sort from, which narrows down our selection a lot. And let's say we find a product that we're interested in. So let's say right away, for example, metal straws. I know this is an item that has sold really well in the last year, and using it for an example, if you wanted to sell this on your Shopify store, and now what you would do is you would click Add All to Import List. So you can actually check off multiple products at a time while you're browsing, and then import them all at once to your list. So now I've added it to my import list, so we can go up to the automation tool, take a look at the list. And here we'll get a pop-up to connect SaleWho to your Shopify store. So I haven't done this yet, but this is a step that you will need to do once you get your Shopify store set up. So you can ignore this for now. You still have your products in your import list. And here you can go through them and sort them again before you formally import them into your store. So you can go through your items. I only have 2 in here right now, but this is a great place to keep a list of items that you're really considering putting into your store. So as you guys can see, SaleWho offers some really unique and also really useful tools to help you in your product research phase. So in this case, we're actually not going to be using SaleWho as the product importer, but we'll just be using it for product decision making and brainstorming possible products. And if you see a SaleWho product that you like, add it to your import list on there and favorite it if you're looking at it from the lab. And later we'll go onto Oberlo and AliExpress and see if we can find a similar item. We'll be using Oberlo as the importer tool, so that's the platform that we're going to be actually importing products from. But I love to use all 3 platforms for research. One thing that I am really looking forward to is that SaleWho is launching an app on the Shopify App Store. So soon you guys will be able to just go onto SaleWho directly from Shopify and look at products from there and be able to be on one platform without being on a different website. So that's going to be really awesome. So look forward to that. And in the meantime, we'll be using SaleWho as an excellent research tool. So next, I'm going to be telling you about Oberlo, which is the platform that we'll be importing our products from. Okay, now let's talk about Oberlo. So Oberlo is an app that actually comes with your Shopify account, and what it does is it allows you to stay on the Shopify platform, go onto the Oberlo app, and browse AliExpress products in a more organized way. Then you can take these AliExpress products, import them onto the Oberlo platform, edit them right on there, and then import them into Shopify. So it's great because you don't need to leave Shopify to do any kind of product research or importing. You can do it directly all on the Shopify platform. And another great thing is Oberlo, you don't need a Shopify account to start your product research. So we're going to use Oberlo to do some product research right now and add some items into our import list. Okay, so we're on the Oberlo homepage, and actually you wouldn't usually sign into Oberlo this way. You would usually go through your Shopify account and go to the Oberlo app. But since you get a free 14-day trial when you start Shopify, you should save that trial until you're actually ready to make your store. Since you can actually research on Oberlo before you have a Shopify store. So if we're new, we're going to go to Get Oberlo Now, and it's a super simple registration process. So I'm just going to sign up, and we'll go sign up for free. And boom. So won't save that right now. And okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with search products. So when we go to search products, this pulls up all the vendors and all the items from AliExpress, except Oberlo organizes it for you so it's not so crazy like the AliExpress platform. You can see it's really easy and clean to look at, just like the Sale Who page. And it's separated by product category. And it's pretty interesting if you go to more categories. There's actually some really cool ones, such as automobiles and motorcycles, and also furniture. So there's tons of really cool items that you can drop ship. And using Oberlo, you're pretty much looking at every item that AliExpress has to offer. So you're seeing basically everything. Oberlo isn't pre-vetted, so you're going to have to sort through the bad suppliers, but you are going to be able to see a huge selection of items. So let's do a product search. For this one, I'm going to start with mother and kids. Children's items are a really good product category to go into because people are really, really willing to spend money for their children. And also, kids are being born every single day, so the industry will definitely never die. So you can see when we're on the page, we're able to actually filter further for specific items. And I'm actually going to filter by activity and gear to start with and see what kind of results I get. Activity and gear, there's usually items that can solve a problem, so that's why I chose that category to start. And on this bar here, you can do a variety of search filters. You can search by best match, seller rating, the lowest price, highest price, and order count. So I typically start by order count just to see what type of items people are actually purchasing. So in this case, the order count is how many times the product has been ordered from AliExpress. And even though the majority of AliExpress customers are not from the big 4 countries, which is the ones that we're going to be targeting, the general idea with a problem-solving item is that if it's popular somewhere in the world, there is likely that there's going to be a demand for it in the big 4 countries if we brand it correctly. So looking at these items, definitely see some problem-solving items already. So going up top here, I think I know what this item is, and let's pull it up. And yes, this is what I thought it was. This would definitely be an interesting problem-solving item to consider. So what this is if you've ever pushed a stroller, you know that your hands can get very cold if you live in a cold place. But as a new mom, you might need your hands free to pick up your baby or maybe to call somebody. And you want to be able to have freedom of your hands without constantly taking your gloves on and off. So this would definitely be a really interesting problem-solving item that you can't find in a department store. And on this page, you can also see some key stats for this item. So first, you can look at the wholesale price, which is the price that you're going to be paying for this item to the supplier. And then if there's any different variants, such as different colors or different sizes, you'll be able to see them here as well. So we can see that these gloves have 4 different colors. And then next is the shipping cost. So it's going to determine it on here for you based on the country that you're in. But what I like to do is I like to filter it by the United States. And I do this because the US is the biggest consumer of e-commerce products in the world. So I use them as a benchmark as to how much the shipping cost is likely going to cost. So this is awesome. It's free to ship to the US, so we know that for our shipping cost. So how we calculate the retail price and how much you need to sell this item at is you take the price, add the shipping to the US by e-packet, and multiply it by 3. So in this case, it's going to be 713 times 3, which is 21.39. So that's the minimum price that you should aim for when you're pricing your item. In my personal opinion, I think this item could probably sell for around 28 to 32 US dollars. So that definitely meets the criteria in terms of price. And then here you also see the supplier store, and you can see their feedback rating. So their rating is 98.5, which is great. We're looking for a supplier that's over 95, so that meets the requirements. And then there's also these 3 stats about the seller's item quality, communication, and shipping speed. And typically you want these to be at least 4.6. So 4.8 is excellent. That means it's a good product. So this bottom bar also gives some really interesting product statistics that's going to help you determine if this is a product worth selling. So the first thing is the product rating, and this is the one that we talked about that we want over 4.5 out of 5 stars. So this item is 4.9 out of 5, and that's a great rating. So it definitely is a quality product and it fulfills our criteria. Next thing is imports. So this number shows how many times this item has been added to an Oberlo import list. So basically what that means is the higher the number, the more potential competition you're going to face. But when you look at page views, you get another sense of who's actually selling this item. So this is based on Shopify over the last month, and this product was only viewed 2 times across all Shopify stores. So that means lots of people have imported it, but not a lot of people are actually selling or marketing this item so that people come and look at it. And then to determine how much the demand there is for this item, we can look at orders over the last 30 days. So there was 293 orders over the last 30 days on Oberlo or AliExpress. And given that there was only 2 page views on Shopify stores, I'm going to guess that almost all of those are from AliExpress. So that means there's a huge opportunity to sell this item on Shopify and not have a lot of competition selling it. And if there's anything else you want to check out about the item, you can view the product listing on AliExpress. So this is going to take you to the AliExpress listing directly. And there are a few things that I like to check on this product page actually. One of them is the reviews. So this item is great because it has so many reviews, and what you can see from here is if there's anything to know about the item, people will post it in their reviews, such as if it fits small, maybe it's scratchy, or maybe the color looks different from the photos. A lot of times you can find that information in the customer reviews, so I like to look here. You can also filter by reviews that have photos. So this is something I like to look at to see how the product looks when a customer receives it. And yeah, it looks like to be pretty true to the photos, which is great. Definitely looks like it does what it shows that it does. So that's excellent. I always like to go through the reviews and just see what other people say about the item. And 2 other tabs that I like to check out here also are the overview and the product specifications. So what you'll find in the overview is the written copy of the description of the product that the supplier has provided. So usually you'll find things like the material, also the size of the item, and you'll also usually find photos that weren't in the original product when you saw it on Oberlo. So for example, we didn't see this photo before, even though I wouldn't use this for an ad because it does have foreign writing on it. But you can look down and see if there's other photos that weren't in the original post. So, yep, you'll also find the size of the item. And okay, so this photo also wasn't in the original post, and this is a really high quality photo that I would definitely take and put in my own post in my Shopify store. And so is this one. And the product in use. Yeah, so this series of photos weren't in the Oberlo post. So it's always good to check here to see if there's photos that you can take and put on your own store, because ultimately photos make a huge difference in how your product sells. And it also makes it a lot easier if your product already has really good photos, so you don't have to take as many of your own. And then if there's any information that you didn't find from the overview, you can usually check specifications. So this will show like material, sometimes the size, if it has any certifications, and yeah, any information that you didn't find there, you'll usually find here. Based on all the information that we know about this product, I definitely think that this is a great potential product to sell in our store. So now what we want to do is we want to add this product into our Oberlo import list. And there's two ways to do that. So the first way is to go onto Oberlo and add to import list. So now to see the product, you can either go edit on import list or go to your import list from the sidebar. So this is going to show you all the products that you've added to your import list. And this doesn't mean that the products are already published on your Shopify page. It just means that this is basically like a holding area. It's like a favorites list to look through. So that's one way of adding the product to your import list. And the second way is through the Oberlo Google Chrome extension. So how you download it is you just go to Google Oberlo Google Chrome extension. And you can click this first link here and it's going to take you to the download link. And I actually always use or suggest to use Google Chrome for everything Shopify, because all these apps have extensions that's going to make your life a lot easier. So Oberlo is one of them, and I use it all the time. So I actually already have it downloaded to my Chrome, and it's this logo right here, and it activates when I'm on an AliExpress page. So the second way to import an item is through AliExpress. And if I was on an AliExpress item page, you can see that this icon turns blue and activates. So I'm going to click on it and click Add to Import List. So the product adds to import list, and we can go to the list, and it's here. So that's really great because you can be browsing on either the AliExpress page or the Oberlo page, and you can import your product just as easily. Another awesome thing about the Chrome extension is that it can do autofill for you when you fulfill orders. So we'll get to more of it later on, but basically what it can do is it'll take your customer's information, such as their address, and plug it into the shipping summary when you're fulfilling an order, so you don't have to manually type it out every time yourself. So that's really important, and it saves you a lot of time. So make sure you download the Chrome extension now. Okay, so when you find a product that you're interested in selling, I also recommend that you put it into the Excel list that we talked about earlier. So technically this is an optional step and you don't have to do this, but I think it's a really great way to understand why you're selling a product and what problem's actually being solved. It's a great way to have all your reasons for selling this product listed on here, and if there's any red flags, this is the way to catch them. So I'm going to go to the item and I'm going to copy the link up into the HTML. So copy it, and I'm going to name this item stroller mittens. And I'm going to paste the link here. And to make it not go through like that, I'm going to wrap the text. And the niche is going to be mom and baby. The problem being solved is hands can get very cold when taking baby for walk with stroller. However, need hands to be free in case need to tend to baby. So that's the problem, and how the item solves the problem is mittens can attach to the stroller, and mom can easily put hands in and out of the mittens as needed. And the cost and shipping to the USA, let's double check the product. So $7.22. And ideal selling price, I said this one I would retail for $32. And it is definitely, yes, less than 2 kilograms. And let's double check the supplier rating. So 98.5, 5%. And the item score is 4.9. Number of orders on AliExpress is 5739. And other related items to fill shop. So here you can kind of brainstorm what other items could match with this problem-solving item. So I would say baby supplies, maternity items, baby clothes. Those are some ideas. And yes, this is definitely a viable item. No red flags spotted here. No notes from me. And here you can also look at other suppliers. So if you found an item that you really like, but maybe you're looking for a lower price, you can put other suppliers here. Or if you also find suppliers that have more colors or more selection and you're deciding between suppliers, put them here and can go back and look at them. So I definitely think it's a really important step to put the items that you're truly considering into this Excel sheet. It's really important that you can write out what the problem being solved is and how the item can solve the problem. Because if you can't write it out and you can't communicate what that problem is, then you're not going to be able to communicate it in your store. So this is a good time to look at truly why people would buy this item and who's going to buy it as well. Another helpful aspect of this sheet is once we have more products in here, we can look at what products might have higher profit margins than other ones. So this first product has a cost and shipping of $7.22, and we're selling it ideally for $32. So that's about like a 4.5 time markup, which is great. It fits our criteria. However, when you build your list, you might find that other items you're able to price up by 6, 8, or 10 times, and the retail price is still going to make sense for the product that you're selling. So then when you see that, you might decide that those items are actually better for your store and they're going to be higher ticket items. So I think this is a super important step. So when you find a product that you're interested in, put it into this sheet. So in summary, Oberlo is basically like the really convenient bridge between AliExpress and Shopify. And it also serves as both a product research tool and also an importer tool to bring products into your Shopify store. So it's a super important part of the dropshipping operation, and you're going to be using it tons during your course and running your store. So you'll be super familiar with Oberlo. Now next, I'm going to take you guys back to AliExpress and give you guys some secret tips and tricks on how to navigate this huge platform if you are using it for research purposes. So let's move on. So now we're back full circle at AliExpress. And earlier, I know I talked a lot about how AliExpress can kind of be a difficult platform to be on because there's just so much information and there's not a lot of filters for that information, and it can just be overwhelming. And that's definitely true. However, I think the process of product brainstorming isn't very linear, and sometimes you need to see all your options in order to get that imagination to see what you can actually sell in your store. And the benefit of seeing different platforms is that on every platform, you're going to have different products being put in front of you. So what you see on Salehu isn't going to be what you see on Oberlo, and what you see on Oberlo isn't going to be what you see on AliExpress, just simply because of the way the pages are laid out. So it's always a good idea to look at a lot of different platforms and just get your imagination going. So sometimes I just like to browse AliExpress just for ideas and to see what items are out there. And you can see it's so slow because there's so many items. So basically the point that I want to get across here is that product brainstorming isn't always linear. And just because you're using the right filters and the research platforms, it doesn't always mean that you're going to find the right products to sell. So sometimes the best way to do product brainstorming is to simply go on a big directory like AliExpress and to just look through a whole bunch of items and a whole variety of items that can give you some inspiration on what type of items there are out on the market. And a lot of times I'll come across items that I've never seen before. So it's quite an interesting process. And earlier, actually, this item caught my eye, and this is an electronic lighter. And this could actually be a really good problem-solving item because for people that smoke, when they go outside and there's any wind at all, the flame will just blow out. So this could definitely be a problem-solving item for a group of people. And ultimately, that's all that you're looking for. You're looking for items that can be problem solvers, and that can be found on a research platform or just by browsing the front page of AliExpress. Now, one thing that I do want you guys to do right now is to activate your AliExpress dropshipping center. So this tool is a little bit of a secret and it doesn't come with AliExpress, but you can activate it. So you can go to it just by clicking this link that I've linked in the PowerPoint. And what it is, it's a dropshipping booster program, and it's going to help you later on to find good suppliers and good products on the AliExpress platform. So I'm going to agree, submit, and it comes up like this. So dropshipping center, and it's in my account. So if I was on the front page of AliExpress, how I would get there is I would go my account, my orders, and dropshipping center is going to be right here on the right. So if I go to it, it's going to take me here, and there's 3 things that you can look at on your dropshipping center. So first is hot dropshipping items, and you can filter this by category. So let's go to women's clothing, and it's going to show you a bunch of items that are trending up in this category. So another way to get really good inspiration. Another thing that you can look at is supplier rank. So what this is it gives you some good suppliers in each category as well. So here, let's go to home and garden, and it's going to give you the top suppliers in the home and garden category. So that's super useful if you're looking for a supplier with guaranteed good products and good results, then this is a really good resource to look at. And the third thing to look at is product analysis. So this gives you the ability to look at how a product is sold over the last 30 days. So let's look at the stroller mittens that we looked at earlier. And you can see here that it's been up and down over the last 30 days. But the point is, it's sold a lot. I wouldn't really worry about a product that it's gone up and down over the last 30 days. Most products will see ups and downs. It'd be more interesting or something to notice if it was all like an upward trend or a downward trend, because that would mean the product is a seasonal item. So those are a couple more data points that you can find with the dropshipping center. And yeah, I would activate it right away so that you can get some product inspiration. So final thoughts on AliExpress. Yes, there definitely is a ton of products on there and it can be overwhelming. However, it is a really good place to just get inspiration and to see products that you might not have seen on the other research platforms that you used. And since product research isn't linear, all sorts of product exposure is good, because as long as you see a product that you can brand into a problem-solving item, then that's exactly what you're looking for. So if you need some more inspiration, or you kind of want to know what's trending in the market, I have a few resources for you guys to go to. So it's always a good idea to know what's trending in the world, because what's trending is going to affect what things people buy. So for example, right now there's a huge trend for eco-friendly products and for saving the environment. So that means you definitely shouldn't be selling single-use plastics or items that create a lot of waste for people. So knowing these trends are really going to help you decide what type of products are going to be appealing to the general public, and also what products are up and coming. So the most popular trend website that people use is called Trend Hunter. And this website is a super comprehensive trend website that covers absolutely all trends. Everything from fashion to tech, life, culture, design, food, you name it. And you can just take a scroll through and see all sorts of different trends that are happening right now. So this one's pretty interesting, folding mobile productivity stations. So this is definitely something that you could drop ship. So knowing that it's a trend, you can now go on AliExpress or go on Oberlo and search for this type of product. And design forward yoga travel mats. So yoga and travel often go hand in hand, and so that could definitely be a product to think about in your store as well. So yeah, tons of different trends, everything that's product related or not product related. It's a great idea to get ideas on what the world is talking about. The second trend website that we have here is called More Inspiration. And this one's cool because with their trends, most of them have a video attached, so you can see why it's trending and get a sense for how this thing works if it's a device. So this is interesting, a Helix handheld citrus press. So this vibrant device utilizes a unique twisting mechanism, so it gets all the juice with far less effort. So let's take a look. Ergonomic food press. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is definitely a problem-solving item, and I bet you can definitely find this on AliExpress. Awesome. Yeah, so More Inspiration, really good place to see tons of items and also see videos attached to them. And last but not least, the final trend website I want to show you guys is called the Trend Spotter. And this is the best trend site for anything that has to do with like beauty, aesthetics, or fashion. This would be the place to go. And the interesting thing about this website is that you can actually filter by men and women. So that's super useful if you know what kind of demographic you're going for. You can filter by both genders and go through everything from fashion trends to accessories, tattoos, beauty, celebrity style, and more. So the Trend Spotter is definitely the website that you want to check out if your niche has to do with anything in the fashion or beauty industry. Well, congratulations, guys. You've made it to the end of phase 1. So the key takeaway that I want you guys to remember from this chapter is that ultimately you're looking for an item that can solve a common problem amongst a select group of people. And remember, the item might not be obvious that it's a problem-solving item, but if you can brand it as such, then that's what matters. So before you move on to phase 2, I do have a task for you. I want you guys to pull up the Excel sheet that we worked on earlier to input items on, and I want you guys to find at least 20 possible products to sell and explore at least 3 different niches. And once you have that complete, I'll see you in phase 2. Hey everybody, welcome to phase 2, product selection and market research. Now, in the previous chapter, we talked a lot about what type of items are good for dropshipping, where you can find these items, and we also explored a variety of niches that are good for the dropshipping industry. The purpose of chapter 1 was to get an idea of all the products that you can sell and to brainstorm all the possibilities of items that are out there. Now in chapter 2, our purpose is to narrow down all the items that you found into a select few items that we're going to use as our feature items in our store. We're then going to be able to build a niche around these items and to create a brand that is centered around a few key items, building our niche. Then we're going to be able to develop an audience that we're going to be communicating with. And that audience is going to be our target audience, and it's going to be the customers that we're selling to. One concept that I want you guys to keep in mind in this chapter is that we're not selling to everyone. Even if your product seems like an item that could be used by anybody in the world, the best way to sell a product is to target a specific audience and show them how this item is relevant to them. So I'm going to show you guys how we can figure out who that audience is, where they might be, and how we find them online. So by the end of this chapter, we're going to be able to narrow down that big list that you found in chapter 1, decide exactly what our niche of items is going to be, and exactly what our target audience is going to be. So let's begin. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is to pull up the product list that you found in phase 1. And what we're going to do here is we're going to see if there's any trends in the items that you found, or if there's any items that go well together. So one thing that to note here is that if there's a lot of items in a certain niche that you found, it probably means that you have a good understanding of this niche and this audience. It means that you're aware of the problems that this audience faces and what type of items can solve these problems. So for example, in my research, I ended up finding a lot of items in the child and parent category. And I explored a huge variety of categories. I looked at travel, camping, camera and photography, pets, fitness, beauty, outdoors, and kitchen. However, the majority of the items that I found, the vast majority actually, were in the parent and child industry. So this means that I'm familiar with this industry. And because product selection and product research is not like an exact science, it's as much of a quantitative process as it is a qualitative process. So in the last chapter, we looked at a lot of numbers and we decided that all these products are indeed viable for selling. So amongst these products, if there's ones that stand out or if there's a product niche that you feel like you could really connect with a lot more than the other niches, then that's a pretty good reason to go into that category. A few things that I do want to warn you guys about is that some categories are more competitive than others. So fitness is quite a competitive industry. Apparel can be a quite competitive industry unless you have a really distinct advantage in terms of your product. Pets is a really good category to go into, and it's not as popular for drop shipping yet. Babies and kids, always a good category because there's always a demand for these types of products. Travel can be good, but a lot of people who travel are always on the go and they're not trying to wait a long time to buy something to be shipped. A lot of times these people will just go to the store or go to a travel store and get that specific item and be on their way. And then another good category to go into is the outdoors. So that's camping, hiking, adventuring. Those types of items tend to sell pretty well. And then kitchen is also a good category to go into, but again, there can be a lot of competition and depending on the item, your margins might not be that high. So just a few tips onto what niche to go into, but I want to remind you guys that there is no perfect niche. It really is your job to pick a niche that you feel like you can connect with and you feel like you can communicate with the audience in. So take a look at your items and see if there's items that can go well together, or if there's a niche that you really can see yourself communicating with an audience in. The whole purpose of this step right now is that we're taking all the products that we already know are viable for drop shipping. We already know that they are a good cost, they have e-package shipping, they're less than 2 kilograms, they have a good supplier and a good product rating, and we want to narrow them down to find one specific niche that we want to dive into for our store. And I want to remind you guys that there's no perfect niches. Just because you find products in a certain niche and you find that these products have good margins, good photos, etc., it doesn't necessarily mean you should go into that niche. You should definitely choose something that you're definitely comfortable with and you can feel like you can relate to an audience in. Because ultimately, you're going to be building a whole community surrounding this item and this brand, relating to this community. So you should pick something that you're familiar with and you feel like you can communicate with the audience in. So in this case, I will be going into children and kids category. It's something that I am familiar with. I have friends that have kids, and I also had a little brother that was 8.5 years younger than me. So growing up, I remember all the things that my mom went through and all the products we had in the house, and definitely things that she felt like she could have had a lot more help with. So given those things, it's a category that I'm familiar with and I feel like I could communicate to the audience in. And just to give you guys a look at some of the items that I found in this category, let's go to this baby swaddle. So this is not a complex item, but it definitely is great for drop shipping. So babies sleep a lot better when they're wrapped up in a swaddle. So this is one of the items that I found. Just a simple baby swaddle that you can put your baby in and you can wrap them up and it stays wrapped, unlike some blankets. So that's one item that I found. And I also found baby stroller gloves. So a lot of the times when parents are going out for a walk with their kids and they're pushing a stroller, they want to have their hands free to be able to pick up kids if they need to, or maybe they need to mix some formula or be on the phone. So they want to have their hands free, but their hands also get cold. So this is like a set of gloves that attaches onto the stroller and you can just slip your hands in and out. So I thought this was a pretty cool item to sell. And then one more item I'll show you guys. Personal alarm system. So this is an interesting one because this isn't necessarily like a baby item per se, but it's something that I thought that could sell really well to parents, especially mothers. So when you're out with a young baby, if it's late at night or you're by yourself and you're walking with your child, sometimes you can be in unsafe situations. So this product is a little device that you can attach to your purse or just simply have in your pocket. And when you activate it, it'll set off an alarm and that will let people know that you're in danger. So this is something that could be really convenient if you're in a vulnerable situation and you have a child with you. So it's just an extra layer of security when you're out as a parent. So yeah, those are some of the items that I found in this category. I definitely think there's a lot of problem-solving items in this category. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to confirm that these products are trending and this category indeed is a good one to go into. So if you took a look through the products that you found and you're still thinking, okay, I'm not sure what niche I want to go into. That's totally okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to take some of the products we found and put them through a few search engines and see if they're trending or not. So the purpose of this step is to confirm that the items that you found and the niche that you think you want to go into is indeed trending, or it's a stable niche. So there's some trends that go down over time and trends that disappear over time. So you want to make sure that the products that you're trying to sell aren't ones that are already past its trend. So the first program we're going to use is called Google Trends, and I'm going to open it up here. And what Google Trends does is it allows you to see how a word or a search term is trending around the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search baby swaddle. And the purpose of this is I want to see if this is a trend that's going up, down, consistent, and if people are searching for this term. Because if people are searching for this term, then that's an indication that it's popular and that it's in demand. So here you can filter by the country you want to search by, or you can search by worldwide, and you can search by the length, the time period you want to search by. If people are searching this term in conjunction with another category, and where this search is coming from. So usually I leave these two last ones as is, and I search by the first ones. So I'm going to look at worldwide, and I want to see in the past 5 years if this is something that people are looking for. So this is something that's really awesome to see. When you see a search term that's trending upwards, that means this is a trend that's rising more and more every year that progresses. So this is really awesome because it looks like it's trending upwards in a very consistent manner. So baby swaddles are definitely something that's not going out of style anytime soon. And some more statistics that you can see when you go down is where these search terms are trending. So you can see that the most popular search areas for this item is actually Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, United States, and Canada. So Australia, United States, and Canada are part of the big four countries, but New Zealand and Singapore are typically not countries that you target in the first round of targeting. So that's pretty good information to know. And down here we have two things. We have related topics and related queries. So related topics are other topics that Google determined that the same audience that searches for baby swaddles would also be interested in. So here we have robe, headband, onesie, Kmart Australia, and thermometer. And what you can do with this information is that you can also consider these items as other supplementary items to consider selling in your store. So maybe you didn't think about selling a thermometer before, but maybe you can add one now as like an item that's not a feature item in your store, but another item to carry. And related queries is what other search terms people are using when they're searching for baby swaddle. So there's Ollie Swaddle, Baby Boy Swaddle Set, Swaddle Me Sleeper, Spearmint Baby, and Baby Boy Swaddle Sets. So knowing what kind of things your customers are searching for also gives you an idea of what their interests are and what kind of things we can target when we move on later to ad targeting in phase 6. So this information gives you a lot of good insight into who your customer is, what kind of things they like, and possibly what other brands and topics they're interested in. And from there, we can really build a specific audience. So one cool thing about Google Trends is that it's always continuously updating. So you can always go to it and look at what people are searching for in the most updated format. So actually the last time I searched for baby swaddles, which was about a week ago, I had some different results than when we just searched for it right now. So in the related topics, in the last time I searched for it, there's infant, swaddling, blanket, and sleep. And I think sleep is a great one because it's kind of a reminder of why parents are buying these baby swaddles in the first place. They want to help their baby sleep better. So sleep is a word that you can incorporate into the writing of all the product copies and all the ads that you do because it really is a definition of what the problem is that we're solving. So that's a really good keyword to keep in mind for this item that we didn't see in this round of Google Trends. And also in the related queries, the last time I searched for it, there was a lot of questions on how to swaddle a baby. So I thought that was really interesting as well because a lot of people might be wanting to buy baby swaddles, but they don't actually know how to use it. So one interesting way to create an ad for this type of product might be to demonstrate exactly how to use it. And that could be something that you can also incorporate into the writing of the description of your item, and also maybe incorporate a product video into the item page on your website. Because this is definitely a question that people are wanting to be answered. And if you're able to answer that question right on the product page, then you have a high chance of selling that item. So with each search engine step in this process, you should be able to narrow down more and more what niche you want to go into and which ones maybe aren't trending or you find that you can't connect with. So another way that I like to narrow this down and also to understand my audience is through Instagram hashtags. So Instagram hashtags are a great tool to find out two big things. One is what other stores are selling this product, and two, what type of people are engaging with this product and with this product category. So pull up Instagram right now, and you can use Instagram for desktop if you guys didn't know that. And so we'll take a look here, and I'm going to search baby swaddle. So yeah, I simply search like the product category or even the product item. So here there's 67,000 posts, so that should give us a good idea of what's out there. Pull up the first post right here and let's see. So I have this page pulled up right here, and basically you just want to see like what other stores are doing, and if other stores are doing maybe exactly what you want to do, then you want to think about how you can be different and how you can angle yourself in a different way that people will want to come to you instead. So this store looks like it's a small business, 2,500 followers, and it looks like their thing is it's definitely made by hand, and it looks like it's all custom designed items. So that looks like it's their thing. Hand-drawn items made by hand, small batch, and that's kind of the business that they've created. So that's one interesting page. Let's look at a few others. Another thing I like to do is like see what other brands are doing in terms of marketing. So this looks like it could be a cool video. Yeah, definitely an effective ad. So this store does a really good job of showing how baby swaddle works. And let's see what their store looks like. Okay, so this is the page of Snuggle Honey Kids, and right off the bat I can see that they have 526,000 followers, so they're definitely a major player in the baby niche. So I like to look through these competitor accounts and take a look at what type of products they're selling and what they're offering. And looking at their product offering, I can see that they're offering a lot of apparel, so wraps, swaddles, baby onesies, and getting this information, you can kind of get an idea of maybe what you could do differently and what you can offer in your store that maybe these competitors don't have. And another piece of information I like to get from Instagram is I like to go into a photo, and then I like to go into the comment section. People who comment on an Instagram page are the most likely to purchase from them as well. These people who are engaging with the page are definitely interested and have an interest in this niche. So let's go to this account here. Okay, so it looks like this person is a mom. She's very focused on family, and she's a children's photographer. So she's probably in her 30s, I would guess, and she is from a Western country. So that's a good piece of information to know. And I just like to go through different posts and see who the audience is that's engaging with these posts. The more you know about this audience, the more you'll be able to cater to them and speak to them in their voice and communicate with them in a language that they'll understand. So this person as well, it looks like a lot of women in around their 30s, maybe Caucasian. Um, Looks like she is likely to be American, maybe Australian. And these are all great pieces of information to know when you're creating your ad copies and also just doing descriptions for your products so you know exactly who you're speaking to. Okay, now it's time to make a decision on what product category you're going to go into. So in phase one, we took a list of all the products that are viable for dropshipping, and we took a look at all sorts of different industries. In phase two, we took those industries, looked further into them, saw what was trending, and also looked at different competitors in the market. And now, given all that information, you should have been able to weed out some of your options that you had from phase one and narrow down to a few niches that you might be considering. And now, at this point, the most important thing you can do is just decide based on gut instinct what audiences you're most comfortable communicating with. Because ultimately, that's what it's going to be about. And it's going to be a combination of what you have experience with, what you've worked with in the past, and just a general sense of who you feel like you can sell to the best. So this step is just as valid as the quantitative research we did before. So all that number crunching basically gives way for you to have a small list of opportunities that you could choose from, and then from now you just take your gut instinct and you choose the best one. So for me, so now that we've decided what type of products we're selling, we want to decide exactly who we're selling to. So you want to define your audience more specific than just the general mothers with children or expecting mothers. So for example, if you're selling travel gear, you don't want to just be selling to everybody who travels. Or if you're selling outdoors gear, you shouldn't just be selling to everybody who hikes. You want to get a little bit more specific than that, and you want to consider a few factors that's going to narrow your audience down. So a few factors that you should consider is their age, gender, location, the job and income level, and your audience's other interests. And you should be able to write a full paragraph about this audience and exactly who they are as a person. So here's an example of a write-up that I did for the audience that we're going to be using in this case. So I said, our target audience is new mothers between the ages of 25 to 38. She's middle class to upper middle class with enough disposable income to afford quality items for herself and her newborn that will last. She's fashion conscious and considers the aesthetic of an item as important. She strives to incorporate aesthetic into her lifestyle. Topics that she may be interested in are baby showers, baby food, baby fashion, and maternity health. So the whole idea here is to be able to visualize exactly who your audience is so you can gear your communication towards them. So when this audience comes to your website, they want to feel like they can relate to the writing on your website, the design, and all the photos and every detail in between. So it's really good to get who they are as a person on paper so you can gear all your communication towards that. And you're actually going to be able to get deeper into this audience and truly understand all their interests once we get you fully set up with a Facebook business account. And that's going to come in a later step when we start doing ads. But later on, you'll be able to see exactly what type of professions they work, their relationship statuses, what their education level is, their exact income levels, and etc. But this is enough of a baseline to work with to get us start building your site. All right, so the last thing to do in phase 2 is to find some keywords that are related to the feature items that you're going to be using in your store. So basically what a keyword is, it's a descriptor word or phrase that's often used in conjunction with your main search term. So for example, the term baby swaddle, words that are often used to describe it and are in relation to baby swaddle are the words sleep, safe, wrap, how to, and blanket. So these are words that are going to be used in the description of the item and also can be used all amongst your store that describe the items that you're selling. So how do you find these words? The first thing you should do is use common sense. So if you were to describe this item, what type of words would you use? You can come up with a few ideas just by thinking in that way, and then you can confirm them by using Google Trends, which we used earlier. When we looked at Google Trends related queries and related searches, those are some keywords that we can take and put into our chart. And then another way to confirm these keywords is to use a tool called Keyword Tool. So I really like this tool because it's free and a lot of keyword tools are paid. So I like this one because not only is it free, but you can search amongst a variety of search engines. So just if I search baby swaddle right here, I'm going to look on Amazon and see what terms people use on Amazon in conjunction with baby swaddle. So let's see. All right, so yeah, you can see here, there's the word wrap, blankets, for boys, hat set. So you can kind of use your common sense here and just eliminate a few of them that's not going to relate to the item that you're selling. So a lot of people are using the word sets because that's what they're selling, but if that's not what you're selling, you can look at the other keywords, which is wrap, blankets. You can look at the word carrier, for example, cloth. These are all words that you can incorporate into your written description that's going to generate a lot of the interest that's coming from people who are searching for baby swaddle. And then you can also go to Google and see if there's any differences in what you find. So let's see. Yeah, so you see a lot of similar things. Wrap, pattern, that's a good one to incorporate. You can, yeah, our baby swaddle safe. So those are all words that you can incorporate, and I just did that with 3 items that we're going to be featuring in our store, which is the baby swaddle, a portable play mat, and a changing mat. So use Google Trends and also use Keyword Tool to find at least 5 keywords for each of 3 products that you're going to be carrying in your store. We're going to be using these keywords later on, and it's a really good idea to know what type of words people are searching for when they're looking in the niche that you're selling. And just like that, we are done phase 2. So the task that I have for you guys right now is to first complete the audience write-up and write out a written description of exactly who your audience is, what their interests are, and who they are as a person. And then the second thing that I want you guys to do is find at least 5 keywords for 3 feature products that you're going to be using in your store. And once you complete those 2 things, we'll see you in phase 3.